Well, as we continue on, I want to continue on this theme of technology. And I want to talk about solutions, because for a lot of us, we still just go, what am I supposed to do? Like, it's so hard for me to do this. It's hard to put my phone down. And so I love interviewing creators who look at these social problems, these cultural issues, and say, I'm going to create something entrepreneurially to try to solve the problem. And so you're going to meet one of those creators, and we're going to talk about practically some of the ways that they've tried to help people solve this problem. He is one of the co-founders of Goaro, and he has created this disruptive technology company to address this very challenge. How do we put our phones down, and how do we do it in a way that we're motivated to do it? He's a creative. He's been a part of this community over many years. Will you join me in welcoming Joey Odom to the stage? Welcome, Joey.
Thank you, Gabe.
So we just heard this presentation. We're all so challenged by our technology. I know in this audience, we were looking at how many hours that people are spending on their phone, right? And it's just an enormous amount. You can see here, 8+ hours, 45% a day of screen time. And I did ask you, I said, report what your phone's telling you. Don't just self-report. But this is a challenge. It's a challenge for all of us. So for you personally, I mean, why did this become something you decided that you wanted to do something about?
Well, I'll take you back to a story when my son was 5. My son is almost 15 now. So my son Harrison was 5 years old, and it was his first soccer season. So Harrison, a great kid. Right now, he's a terrific student now at 15, great tennis player. But at 5, he was a terrible soccer player. So everybody on the team had scored a goal except for Harrison. So Saturday afternoon, near the end of the season, kind of typical what we've done before. Music, cue the cinematic music. Harrison rears back his leg, kicks the soccer ball, goes into the back of the net, and he scores his first goal. The crowd goes wild. His coach picks him up. Everybody's going nuts. And what does a 5-year-old boy do when he scores his first soccer goal? He looks at Dad, catch that moment. So we have this amazing moment of we lock eyes. He sees that I'm proud of him. But I missed that entire scene that I just described. Missed it all because I was right here. So that was a seminal moment for me where I realized that something's wrong here. Now, my son's 15 now. So what that means, 90% of our time that we'll spend with our kids happens by the time they're 18 years old. 90% of our time with our kids by the time they're 18 years old. 75% of that time by the time they're 12 years old. So what that means is that I have this opportunity in front of me right now where I have 40 days left with my son until he's gone. 40 days left, literally, if you count up all the time that I'm gonna have with him by the time he turns 18. And I can literally double that time by doing something amazingly drastic. I can't check ESPN on the weekends. I can't look at group texts on the weekends. I can't check work emails on the weekends or at nights. That's all I have to do, and I can double that time. So it's one of those things, it's one of the greatest opportunities we have as parents is to just put our devices down. But what I'm describing is an immensely difficult thing to put our devices down because of the relationship we have with them. We're 15 years into this relationship with our phones, smartphones. So we've built this relationship where 91% of us have our phones with us at all times. 100% of the time we have 91% of our phones with us. And that's a bad relationship, but as a result, that's getting in the way of the other relationships we have. So what we're doing as a company is going to address the core relationship we have with our phones so that we can flourish in the more important relationships.
Yeah, and I think when you say that, there's a groan, right? Everybody's like, yes, I know, and I don't want to be doing this. I don't love that I have this relationship with my phone, and yet I don't know what to do. And that drove you guys to create, and to create something beautiful. In fact, it's sitting right here, and I want you to describe for people what you created and what kind of thinking has gone into this.
Well, my co-founder Heath Wilson, who's here, he concepted this idea at the peak of his career, and he's at another career fintech company, and even on his mind there was moments that he's missed with his kids as well. So what we're doing as a company, we're gamifying the experience of being away from your phone. So we're pairing an app with a place for your phone, and we're doing that to make it easy to put down your phone, which sounds ridiculous, right? Like we shouldn't have to do this in the same way that we probably shouldn't have to belong to gyms and pay for those things where we can go run and do push-ups for free. But we need those things, right?
That's true.
So it begins with that. So the app, it reminds you to spend a little bit of time away from your phone. It quantifies the time that you are away from your phone. It has leaderboards. It does all this stuff that the social media companies have been using to keep us on our phones. We've gamified that experience to keep us off, and it's initiated by this box. So it's super high tech, it's beautiful, but it's super high tech. It charges your phone. And when you drop your phone in there, that's what enables the app to start doing all of those things of tracking your time away from your phone. And that's the real key, because we have to have this reward system around it. It can't just be a throwaway app. The solution can't be located inside of the problem. It can't just be a box. I bet you if I ask for a show of hands, all of you have a shoebox or a drawer, is my guess. So the market is not looking for a place to put our phone. The market is looking for a system, a reliable system that will help us put our phone down. And it's critical. It's critical. 89% of our cell phone usage is self-initiated. That means that if you silence your notifications, for example, you're addressing about 11% of the problem. So it's on us. When my phone is with me, I'm going to use it. And we all know this. If my daughter, who's now 13, if she came up to me, and by the way, if anybody has a 13-year-old daughter, you know that kind of sucks to be a 13-year-old girl. It's hard, right? And so if she came up to me and she said, Dad, I want to talk to you about something, and it opens up this moment of vulnerability for her, and that's hard for a 13-year-old girl to open up. All it takes for me in that conversation as she's opening up, all it takes is this. And that moment is gone, but even more than that, her future vulnerability with me is gone. Yeah. That's a vulnerability killer. And I think as a society, we need to take this a little bit more seriously. And it's not just, hey, how can we address phone? What's our solution? No, we got to do something drastic for us. And if the drastic thing we have to do is putting it away, that's great. You know what I mean? It's actually more approachable than you might think.
Well, what I love, too, is beauty. I mean, you guys cared a lot about the quality. Like, Rebecca and I have this box in our home that we use, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful wood. You open it up, you've got charging stations, so it charges your phone while you put it away. But talk about the commitment to beauty, why it mattered to you that this wasn't just another box, but it was something that was going to cost a lot of money and be expensive and also look beautiful sitting out.
It mainly because my wife said she wouldn't put a shoebox on the kitchen counter. So it has to be beautiful, because this starts getting into, this is all based around the science of habit formation, the habit loop, cue, craving, response, reward. So you have the cue with the app. The app is telling you, hey, spend a little bit of time away from your phone, but you have that visual cue. So this is a reminder to you of your intentions. All of us have great intentions, and the challenge is aligning our actions with our intentions. So this is a visual reminder, not only of your intention, my intent to put that away, it reminds you of the Pavlovian response to put it away, but it also represents who you are as a family. This is this is who we are as a family. We are present. We are with each other. We are intentional. So it has to be beautiful to put it out, to put it on display. And again, I am serious when I say it. It has to be wife approved. It has to be something that will fit in the home as a home decor piece. Yeah. Otherwise, it'll just sit in the basement. And in the same way that if you put a Peloton in the basement, you're not going to use it as much as if it's on the main floor. So something that can go on display that will remind you of your intentions you want.
So what are some of the stories you're hearing? I mean, I know you guys have got to be encouraged. It's been, what, a year? 6 months?
We've been in R&D for close to 4 years, believe it or not. And so November is when we launched to the market. Yeah. And before I tell the stories, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but it's important for us to know what happens if we don't do something. If we don't do something here. And what we've found, and this is really what drives us, is if we don't do something, this generation of kids who is on Instagram and TikTok, if we don't do something, this generation of kids will die with more of other people's memories than memories they create on their own. I'll say that one more time. If we don't do something, this generation of kids will die with more of other people's memories than memories they create on their own. I'm not okay with it. I don't think any of you are okay with it. So we have to do something about it. It's important enough to do something about it. So this is the message of hope, though. The message of hope is this is not an addiction. This is a habit. With addiction, you abstain. With addiction, you have very little agency. With the habit, you have a lot of agency over it. So here, this will make an impact today for anybody. And the stories we hear move, I'm a crier, so it moves us to tears. And they're literally dreams come true. Heath and I, when we were concepting this, said, can you imagine when we hear a story of relationship with a parent's relationship with a daughter or a marriage? So we hear them all the time. With some of our favorite ones, we have a member in Kansas named Cassie. Cassie emailed and she said she had put her 11-month-old daughter to bed and she went out to look for her phone after she was done. She looked everywhere around the house, and then she asked her 6-year-old, she goes, honey, have you seen mommy's phone? She goes, yeah, I put it in that box thingy. And she said, well, why'd you do that? She goes, well, because you spend more time with me when your phone's in the box thingy. So another one I love, Sam in California, Sam emailed us, and he said he had an experience a couple months ago. He goes down for breakfast, and his son's sitting there, his 8-year-old son, And he had just gotten RO, and so he put his phone in the RO box, and he said the next 17 minutes changed his life. And why? What did they do? What happened in that 17 minutes? Well, they talked about sharks, and they talked about how things get invented.
Wow.
And that's it, period. He took his phone out, you could do a quick tap, he said, breakfast with my son, and he had a moment, an aha moment. He said, what would happen with 17 minutes of phone-free time every single day in my son's life? How formative would that be in his life? And then personally for me, when my daughter was 10, we'd been beta testing RO. I had it for a couple of months. And we're sitting on the couch. We'd watched a movie together, just the two of us. And she leans over to him. She turns to me. She goes, Daddy, this is the first time we've watched a movie and you haven't had your phone. That sounds small, but what that's indicative of is our kids notice. Our kids notice what's happening around them. They know when you're there and when you're not. They know when you do this, when you don't. Now, the good thing about young kids is they'll tell you because they have an innate sense of value and they've not yet been conditioned to believe that they are the distraction and the phone is the priority. They've not yet had that conditioning. They're young enough to believe they have more value. And there's an amazing thing that happens when you put down your phone. When you put down your phone, you bestow value on somebody else. And the message you're sending them is, on this phone, 8 billion people can theoretically reach me. When I put it in here, you're more important than every one of them.
Yeah, that's powerful. Well,
teenage unhappiness is at an all-time high right now. And it's because we have, yes, it's body image issues. Yes, it's cyberbullying. Yes, all of those things. It all coincides with the advent of the smartphone, the ubiquity of the smartphone. But what it really is we have a generation of kids who have grown up with parents who have been looking at screens instead of their eyes. And so what happens when they're confronted with body image issues on Instagram? They don't have that foundational value that they should have. This is not, by the way, I understand, this is not binary, it's not one or the other, but they don't have that foundational sense of value in them that knows what to do because of how important it is for connection and eye contact with parents.
Yeah. Well, Joey, thank you for what you've created. Tell people, where can they go learn more about this?
Yeah, go to goaro.com, goaro.com.
Yeah.
And the promise I make is that if you use RO every single day, if you put your phone in the RO home device, if you follow the prompts of the app, it will change your life. Because when you change your relationship with your phone, you change your relationship with everyone around you, including yourself.
Let's thank Joey for what they've created. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man. Awesome.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.